the MoxStars podcast. I am one of your hosts, Menace, and I'm here with Flash. Dude, we're bringing the energy today. And you want to know why? It's the 100th episode of the MoxStars podcast. The #1 show on the internet for Magic the Gathering and Dr. Pepper, home of the mid-range mindset, and what else are we known for?
Nai gonna do.
Nai gonna do. We got that going for us. Oh, what else?
Willie send us peeps.
Yep. And always start your day with a Dr. Pepper. You got to wake up.
Yes, doctor's orders. Start your day with a Dr. Pepper.
Yep, you got to wake up.
End your day with a hot Dr. Pepper.
Oh, dude, I miss the hot Dr. Pepper. That actually, like, resonates with my soul now that I've had it. Like, you know, if you haven't had hot Dr. Pepper, the history behind Dr. Pepper was that before corporate structure took place, a lot of sodas were actually made with, like, well, real stuff. Like, there's 23 flavors of Dr. Pepper. They were all once ingredients in the mixture that made it so unique. And it was doctor's orders at one point to heat it up and drink it like a tea. So there is merit to hot Dr. Pepper. That's how it was originally marketed. What, like 60 years ago? Something like that. There's advertisements out there. You can Google this. And
yeah, and this is the MoxStars podcast, where we talk about Magic the Gathering. Just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, oh yeah, we talk about that too. And if you want,
but can I hear? Do you know what some of the ingredients in Dr. Pepper were? Like what was the traditional mix of bark and sassafras and ginseng,
cherry juice?
And,
there's like a little bit of that.
Chioggia, lion's mane,
chaga mushroom. Yeah.
Yeah. Was this the original like superfood, like just like unlocking stuff in your brain, Dr. Pepper? Yeah,
dude. Do you know how unlocked I feel when I drink it?
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Is drinking 2 Dr. Peppers the same thing as taking the Limitless pill? Does that math work out? 2 Dr. Peppers equals 1 Limitless pill?
I have to say yes, because I don't know what that feels like, but I know that I feel sky high. And like I'm using more than 10% of my brain when I have more than 2 Dr. Peppers consecutively. It's like finish one. Here's the thing. There's Dr. Pepper hits different based on the vessel that it comes out of. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and the can is the supreme. Like, for me, the can is the supreme. And then once you start like getting into like bottles and stuff, like the 20-ounce bottle, yeah, like, okay, the bubbles, the carbonation hits a little bit harder, activates more of your brain, but the flavor isn't as good. And then once you get to the 2-liter, like the mouth hole's a little bit bigger, and so it's like the carbonation doesn't hit as hard, isn't as spicy, isn't as crispy, and it's just less satisfying overall, less brain activation. So like, I'm still figuring it out, but I know that when you drink sodas through a straw, you know, it actually has more flavor and more condensed carbonation. So I'm guessing that through the straw.
I'm actually looking at the there's an article here, the New England Journal of Medicine, which is like a recognized medical journal.
Yeah.
It's saying that when you drink Dr. Pepper through a straw, what it does is it I want to pull up the exact quote. It energizes the medulla oblongata, unlocking the full potential of your brain. Now, this is the New England Journal of Medicine saying that.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but the medulla oblongata is where aggression is you know, that's where that stems from, correct?
Aggression, the fear response. Yeah, the primitive lizard brain.
Because, it's like in alligators, it's like the medulla oblongata, is why are they so angry? And it's because mom said they ain't got no toothbrush.
Nah, a guy gonna do.
Nah, a guy gonna do.
This is the MoxStars podcast, a podcast exclusively about Magic the Gathering.
And if you want to support the show, you can find us on YouTube, where you can like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more notifications. We have 248 subscribers at the time of this recording. We set the mark at 200, remember? And that was like a big goal. Like, we wanted to get there. And we said that, after that, the milestone is 300. And we're almost halfway there. Let's keep the ball rolling. This thing's it's starting to spiral out of control. I don't know what to do. You can also find us on all major podcasting platforms, where you can leave us a 5-star review to make us look super cool. But I'm going to be honest, I don't know if you can look much cooler than me on YouTube right now with a Raising Cane's visor on. That's it's
man, I bet you
peak
can't
accessory.
wait for MagicCon Vegas to be able to hit up Raising Cane's again.
Woo! Dude, MagicCon Vegas is actually on the calendar is my most anticipated event of the year. I've just actually been getting super duper psyched for it. But I do have bad news. What's bad news for the listeners out there. Maybe you want to deliver it. Do you want to deliver the bad news?
Is the bad news that I'm not going?
Yes.
Yeah, I won't be there this year.
Oh.
I got a wedding and stuff to do.
Yeah, okay, so basically if you weren't at MagicCon last year and if you've just tuned into into the show in the past year, right? You have no idea what Flash looks like outside of his Mr. Bean chicken head. So,
well, I mean, I do usually have my head stuck inside of a turkey. It just happens, man. I this is a personal thing, and I didn't want to talk about it. I have what's known as Mr. Bean disease, sometimes known as Mr. Magoo syndrome. If you want to know more about it, you can look it up. There's some articles in the New England Journal of Medicine. But yeah, that is kind of what I look like sometimes. I just tend to get my head stuck up turkey butts. It's just what happens when you have Mr. Bean disease.
The Mr. Magoo syndrome. I was going to liken you to Wilson from Tool Time.
Oh, from Home Improvement.
Yeah. Yes, that's the show. Where you just, you got your head poked over. No one knows what you truly look like, but you offer sage wisdom at in opportune moments.
Okay.
Yeah, you're resident Wilson, neighbor over the fence. No one knows what you look like, and when we finally do get to see you, when we hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, we will finally reveal Flash. We'll do a dueling pianos type thing on screen.
I will poke my head over the fence.
And then all the mystery will be revealed. The other thing you can do to support the show.
Hey, did Wilson's daughter date Al? Was that a storyline on Home Improvement? We don't have to talk about that. Hey, let's go to the next subject.
The next subject. We also have a Patreon where you can support us and become an official Pepperhead for $3 a month. You can support the show and get one entry into each of our bi-weekly giveaways. And you can become a cherry vanilla Pepperhead like Will Rule, K Mr. K, UWP Quirt, D-Mun82, Tommy Cypher, Jacob Hibbard, The Boogie Ghost, Pool Boy Barry, and Draw for Turn. That is $5 a month. You get 2 entries into each of our bi-weekly giveaways. And we have, drum roll please, for the first time ever, a Cherry Pepper Vanilla Head, who just joined the Patreon, Raven Left. And
that's
that is one. Yeah, that is our brand new tier. It is. It's big. Can you go through all the details of this one, Flash? I have seemed forgotten.
Of the cherry pepper vanilla head tier?
Yeah.
I believe the deal was that
was
every
that?
month you're subscribed, we send you a Naya Guy Gon Do hat for 11 months, and then in the 12th month, we send you a bucket hat.
Yeah. Yep. And you get 10 entries into each of our giveaways. So it seems weighted. It seems weighted, but for good reason. It scales up. All things scale appropriately here on the MoxStars podcast. And so, Ravenlift, thank you so much.
Speaking of scaling, thank you, Ravenlift, so much. I respect you for playing the long game to get that bucket hat. You know?
This week's giveaway is something that you're going to want some more entries into because it's our 100th episode. We wanted to do a giveaway that was roughly $100. So this is Flash's idea. We were talking about this last night, but this week's giveaway is going to be a two-parter. The first part of the giveaway is the process. And so this week, what we're going to do is we're going to put a poll up on Patreon where you can vote as a supporter on which 4 decks will be given away in this next giveaway. So the idea is that it is going to be a curated pod of cEDH decks that you can win. So 4 deck boxes, 4 new sets of crispy sleeves, and 4 cEDH decks all in one bundle. So if you are trying to get your friends into cEDH, if you win this and you're like, hey, just check this out, give it a shot, we're going to open up the voting for that in the first week. And the second week, after everything has been sort of mulled out and figured out which decks are going to be in the bundle, we'll announce the giveaway winner. That being,
and to be clear, these decks are proxied.
They are proxied. Yes, they are.
But here's the thing. You're not getting real cards, but you're getting full 100% power. The idea here is that you get a curated pod of 4 decks of 4 full-powered decks that you think would be fun to play against each other. And so, you're not waiting for your friend to build up their collection, to style out their deck, and be able to, really have something super competitive against you if, that's your issue getting into cEDH. So, yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is that we want to make it a pod that interacts with each other. So there aren't going to be any Nadus, unfortunately, because Nadu doesn't interact with the table in really meaningful ways. So we're going to avoid that one. And then the other, all 4 decks will have interaction for each other, prepared for each other, and hopefully give you a very rewarding experience. That's
I mean, it could be hey, we're gonna do. You get a blue farm, a Nagila, an Obnix, and a Stella Lee.
Yeah,
could be anything. We're gonna find out what the Pepperheads want.
Yep, and Pepperheads do decide. Each of those decks will have tokens, MoxStars tokens.
You will get real MoxStars tokens. We will not proxy our tokens.
And if you didn't know, we have tokens. The coolest, most raddest tokens on the market. We have a Thrall, Snake, Treasure, Copy, and I can't remember the other one. Oh God. Construct.
Subscribe to the Patreon to find out.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Thank you so much for, if you're still stuck with us, thanks for sticking around for our lengthy intro there. Today, like we said, it's a big one. It is our 100th episode. And
100th episode of the MoxStars podcast, hottest podcast on the internet, on the airwaves for Magic the Gathering and Dr. Pepper and Don Cheadle.
Yes, though he hasn't quite reached, his agent hasn't gotten back to us yet on whether or not he wants to be a part of this. So
absolutely not. Do you think the cease and desist was from his agent?
I thought that was just a gag.
Is he being coy?
I thought that was just a joke. So
okay. No, it definitely seemed pretty serious.
Yeah. I'll read it again.
We'll figure that out.
Yeah, I'll reach back out and just see. It came from like this weird coded email, so I wasn't sure. So we wanted to catch you guys up on what you might have missed in the last 100 episodes. So cue the montage. Boom. You might like that's you missed
beautiful memories.
Yeah, a lot of beautiful memories. The MoxStars podcast, since we've been going for almost 2 full years now, can you believe it? It has been like such a rewarding experience. I think that like from day one, you know, like I don't think I could have imagined where we'd be now on day one, right? Like that it was Jordan and I, we went to we went to PAX, and we hadn't worked together. This was right at the end of the pandemic where everyone was still required to wear a mask at the convention hall and stuff like that. So, a little over 2 years ago. And I think did we call you or did we text you, Flash, that we were thinking about doing this type of thing?
I don't know. It did involve an iPhone. It could be talking, could have been texting. But all I know is that the Apple Corporation was involved in the communication. Right.
Yeah. We were interested in like doing something like this. I think Jordan and I had a lot of motivation at the time, and we're very enthusiastic about it. And we're walking through PAX, and we saw the Audio Technica booth. And they had a bunch of mics set up, and we were just talking about, you know, like what kind of mic you would need. And I had like a Yeti, like, and those are made for podcasting, but they're ass. Like they're not good microphones. Sorry, Yeti, but you don't make good stuff for podcasting. And we started rolling through the Audio Technica booth, and this representative came up, and we told him we were thinking about podcasting, and he just pointed us right to the perfect mics. And I think after that, we just texted you and said, yeah, so we bought the microphones. We'll get it set up and we'll see you next week. You know, we talked a little about getting a soundboard.
Drafted into this, I think.
Yeah, we were just like, oh, you know, like having 3 guys on it would be awesome, you know. And so then we just started meeting in our apartment, had a set up at the kitchen table, and started talking about Magic. So you guys can roll back through the episodes and like listen to when we had, you know, Jordan on here and everything like that. And it was definitely like, we didn't know what we were doing yet, who we were, what kind of attitude we were going to bring. And it just has sort of grown into this thing that has become incredibly fulfilling. I think last week or 2 weeks ago when we broke even for the first time, like on our Patreon, you know, I had set the milestone market. Hey, you know what? We break even at production costs at $50 a month, and we hit that. And I just realized how much, how supported I felt, you know, and how validated I felt that, you know, this thing was growing. And
yeah, it feels good to have the Pepperheads have your back.
Yeah. Like everyone crack a crisp Dr. P for, you know, toast to the Pepperheads out there. This is like, yeah, this is great. I remember doing the initial design. The initial design for our logo. It was, you know, how many trial and errors, you know, did I send you guys where you're like, no, okay, that one looks fine. And so, you know, we finally got there. We started recording episodes, and you know, at the time, I didn't think we were really. Jordan was trying to pull me into cEDH. And he was very gung-ho about like getting into it, and I was like really hesitant. Like, I don't know, I'm kind of enjoying where I'm at.
Wait, Jordan got super competitive about something?
Yeah, he does that.
That's out of character.
Gets it. Yeah. And, you know, there was a point in time where, you know, and then we dove head in, and it was just like this whole new territory, and we started learning about it and seeing how big this community was and like how involved they were. And then we started going to tournaments, talking to the community, like hosting Magic nights. We used to play a lot more than we do now. And it's funny that this has become like we're working so hard on this podcast that we can play more Magic in the future. Like life just got complicated for whatever reason, and there just wasn't enough time in the world to continue doing Magic every week. We had different things come up in life, and things change. So now, hopefully we can get into playing more Magic as the podcast grows, and we have our next milestone on the Patreon, which is if we can, we're over halfway there now, but if we can get to 150 in a single month, then I'll put some tournament coverage on the schedule and see when we can go out and do live tournament coverage. So hopefully, fingers crossed soon. That would just be amazing for, like, again, another milestone to hit, another wave of like euphoria on how much you guys like support us, and it fills my cup, I guess is what I'm saying. Is like this whole experience has definitely been very, very rewarding. So and we're gonna keep going. We're not even close to being done yet, because we haven't even I don't know, we haven't even made it to the moon yet.
Everyone's a Pepperhead.
Yeah, we don't even have.
That's my goal. I've got like Borg vibes is what I'm bringing to this. Just like everyone's got to be a Pepperhead. We're gonna go around in a little square pepper ship, and
that's a deep cut.
Yeah.
Not like we're not even sponsored by Dr. Pepper yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to get there first.
We're going for it. Reach for the stars.
Eventually, I saw a Dr. Pepper commercial that had a lot of like, because they do the college football stuff. It had some like dudes I've just seen on Instagram and like stuff like that on there. And one day, we're gonna be on a Dr. Pepper commercial for college football, maybe. Hopefully,
one day I will be the CEO of the Dr. Pepper Corporation.
Speak it into existence. Manifest the potential. I love that. And speaking of manifesting, we're going to be talking about some of that today. Today on the
MoxStars podcast, we're going to be talking about manifesting, which is a mechanic in the game Magic the Gathering, which is exclusively what this podcast is about.
Yes, it is. All right, so if you've been paying attention to the game lately, it is, well, it's quick. It's quick with how it moves, and Bloomburrow felt like it was just here. And now it's gone, because Duskmourn is on the horizon. We have new spoilers available now, and speaking of manifesting, there are a few new mechanics here in Duskmourn that I think are of note. Like, if you thought amassing was where it ended, well, let me introduce you to Amass Orcs. If you thought manifesting was where it ended, let me introduce you to Manifesting Dread. So that is a new mechanic here in Duskmourn. Manifesting Dread is, instead of just putting the top card of your library face down as a 2/2, what happens is you look at the top 2 cards of your library, and then you pick which one. That goes onto the battlefield face down as a 2/2, and the other one goes into the graveyard. So this whole set is about horror, and it has proven to be quite terrifying with some of the depictions, with the energy, like the vibe of the whole set. There are a lot of, like, one, we have Manifesting Dread. Then we have Rooms, which we'll talk about today. Then we have Eerie, which is another keyword. We have Survival, another keyword. There's Vehicles in the set. There's Ley Lines. There's enchantment creatures that are counter spells. And we also have our new rare Cycle of Lands. Not only that, but we do have some new special guest reprints. And there's a lot of exciting things with Duskmourn. But so far...
Yeah, this is a fun set.
Yeah.
I think cohesively, from a design standpoint, from like just the different treatments they're incorporating, this is maybe like Neon Kamigawa vibes.
Yes, I feel the same way. And like, there are some tropes here to be had. Like, very much, there's a Ghostbusters artifact. There's Beetlejuice exists in the set. Did you see that?
Yeah, we are. By the way, we are very much here mainstreaming the Magic the Gathering lore just like goes into the modern world. Like New Capenna sort of like flirted with more modernity, but this is like full on like you have imagery from just like modern day in here.
Yep. Yeah. Like, I think that if there's one thing like that, even Mark Rosewater said in his review for Magic the Gathering, was that they definitely put their tongue in cheek a little too hard, making like sort of like cute things or things that didn't, that break the immersion. And he released that less than a month ago. So this set had already been designed, and like, and was ready for launch and stuff like that. So a lot of the same things that he said were faults with how they approached the game in 2024, they're still present here. Like they aren't like, so there are still like, yeah, like I said, there's Altanok, the Thrice Called, which is a legendary creature insect beast, Beetlejuice. And there's a spell that goes right along with it called Say Its Name. For 1 and a green sorcery, you mill 3 cards, then you may return a creature or land from your graveyard to your hand. You can exile this card and 2 other cards named Say Its Name from your graveyard. Search your graveyard, hand, and or library for a card named Altanok the Thrice Called. Put it into your and then put it onto the battlefield. If you search your library this way, shuffle. So this is yeah, that's an activated ability on a sorcery, by the way. Sorry. But yeah, it's Beetlejuice. You say Beetlejuice's name 3 times, it's going to show up. And it's also an insect. Legendary insect beast. So it's a cool card. It's at uncommon. It's not super powerful, but it might be something that you'd want to. Well, you can't even build a commander deck out of it. I guess it's exclusively constructed, but it's still pretty cool. Regardless, there are a lot of new legendary creatures. There was the return of Nico, Light of Hope, and then we have there's so many enchantments. And then there's some really powerful reprints, like Ethereal Armor is going to get printed into Standard, which is absolutely nutty to me. I'm really looking forward to seeing that, because I think it brings Calyx out of the, like, Calyx is not played right now in Standard, and so now it'll like see a rise a little bit, because you can put an Ethereal Armor on Calyx, and then it punches, put another one on it, put another one on it, put another one on it. And I'm excited to see where that goes, maybe an Audacity or 2. And yeah, Flash, are there any cards in the set right now that are standing out to you as something that you might want to play?
Yeah, I mean, right up top, Valgavoth, Terror Eater, seems like a sick reanimation target.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Oh yeah. What's it do?
9/9 flying lifelink, ward, sack 3 non-land permanents. If a card you didn't control would be put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, exile instead. During your turn, you may play cards exiled with Valgavoth. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to its mana value rather than pay its mana cost.
So this is the most vicious form of ward that we've seen yet, I feel like.
Yeah, that's pretty prohibitive.
Yeah. It feels like mini Annihilator. Like, there's just not a lot of ways. You have to, if they reanimate this, which is totally possible. I've been seeing a lot of reanimator builds on Arena, and I don't think this is like one of those like cEDH cards by any means. This doesn't do enough.
I mean, I'll probably throw it in Yoshimaru.
Oh, for like a legendary proc?
Yeah, plus I already have all the reanimation stuff in there because of the Abdel Adrian loops and stuff. So. Oh,
sure. Yeah, like if you can find a way to build around this that like can magnify this ability, like if a card you didn't control be put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, exile it. So like discard even would be pretty great here. Like basically throw their entire hand into exile, and maybe their entire battlefield, and then during your turn, you may play cards exiled with Valgavoth. Pay life instead of mana. Yeah, okay. Like I can see it here, because I guess the big thing is if you were to, it says ward sacrifice 3 non-land permanents. It's still on the battlefield when that ward cost is paid. So the 3 non-land permanents that get sacrificed go to exile. And then I wonder if like it, if you could just steal a counter spell, like, or like at some point, like as they're working their way to removing this or whatever, they throw a counter spell into exile, and then you're like, yeah, I'll pay 5 life. Oh, it's only during your, yeah, and during your turn. Okay, never mind.
Only during your turn. I mean, it could happen.
It could happen. There's a reality.
There's a potential thing to keep in mind that it might happen, and if it does happen, good for you.
Yep.
Hey, another card I like, Split Up.
Oh.
2 white and a colorless sorcery. Choose 1. Destroy all tapped creatures. Destroy all untapped creatures.
Oh, hey, I saw this one.
Yeah, that's one of the better 3 mana wraths that I've seen.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm still I'm trying to locate it real quick, but yeah, it's super good right here, and a sweet artwork by Dominic Meyer. Like,
yeah, I mean, if you want to compare it to like Bantu's Last Reckoning or Battle of the Baywater, I think it's much better than either of those as at 3 mana. And
yeah,
likely to be one-sided. Yeah,
this feels like a better citywide bust. Do you remember that card?
Okay, I don't.
It's probably. It's 1 and 2 white, same sorcery speed, like conditional wipe, but it destroys all creatures with power 4 or with toughness 4 or greater. So like it has that like cutoff line, and this one giving you a choice, I think, is it rewards you for being aggressive, like. Mm-hmm. And that, I think that's like this whole like it tailors really well with that survival mechanic that we're seeing on some of these cards. So if you're looking at these cards from the set, the survival mechanic is basically the group of high schoolers who are stuck in this horror house. And so it says, and they all the effects that say survival begin with this. At the beginning of your second main phase, if card name is tapped, gain an effect. So if you attacked with it and you survived the attack, basically is the base level of sort of design here, you get a reward at the start of your second main phase. So you can basically swing in with all of your creatures, whatever survives, one you get rewards for, but then you can also cast Split Up to just completely decimate your opponent's board. It's like screaming duck, and all of your people hear you, and they all duck, and then a big axe just comes through and decapitates your opponent's board. That's kind of where my head's at with that. It's like a big swinging axe. I like it. Right next to it, dude, there's a instant in Gruul that has an effect you don't really see that often in these colors, but it's called Peer Past the Veil. 2, a red and a green. Discard your hand, then draw X cards, where X is the number of card types among cards in your graveyard. So this, Delirium is also back. If you're unfamiliar with Delirium,
yeah, I mean Demonic Council. Speaking of Delirium,
yeah, another
seems great.
Yeah, I think that's could be playable in cEDH. There's potential for it. And then there's one card that I do see that immediately goes in a very particular cEDH deck, and it's
Razorkin Needlehead.
Exactly what I was gonna say.
Yep, goes in. Well, we previewed that deck. We mentioned it earlier. Ob Nix.
Yep, it's Razorkin Needlehead is a 2/2 human assassin that says whenever an opponent draws a card, Razorkin Needlehead deals 1 damage to them. So this is just perfect for Ob Nixilis. So you play this down. It feels like Cataract Parasite. Like you now have another copy of Cataract Parasite in your library, which that's one of the best cards in the deck. So even though it's 1 more mana, it's a little, and color restrictive slightly. This is an auto include. It feels like an absolute auto include in Ob Nixilis. So I love it. I think the set has a lot of attitude, a lot of personality, and it does a lot of things that I love. and it has a lot of enchantments, including.
Oh, you go.
Okay, including the new room mechanic. So, if you've been paying attention, or if you haven't, rooms are enchantments, and there's a new mechanic called unlocking the door. So I have to turn my head sideways. So 1 sec. All right.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Ravnica earlier. This is a twist on the Ravnica split cards.
Yeah. Yeah, slightly. This is like, so it says in the reminder text, you may cast either half, just like those, like the Ravnica split. That door unlocks on the battlefield. As a sorcery, you may pay the mana cost of a locked door to unlock it. So the one I have shown on screen is Mirror Room and Fractured Realm. So this is a mythic blue enchantment room from Duskmourn that says, in Mirror Room, says, for 2 and a blue, when you unlock this door, create a token that's a copy of target creature you control, except it's a reflection in addition to its other creature types. And then, so it has a line down the center for the door, and you can unlock it for 7 mana, 5 and 2 blue. If a triggered ability of a permanent you control triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. So this is kind of nutty. Like, this is definitely a big payoff, and it's a big cost to get that other side. I don't know. It has early, like, you can get this down in the early game, create a copy of a token, which, especially with Caretaker's talent now out there in the world, we're probably going to see some, like, Azorius control, token control, where Mirror Room comes into play. Because I think that if you get later in the game, that's exactly what Control decks want to do. They want to get to the late stages of the game where 7 mana just becomes this thing that, you know, once it's active, once it's out there, a triggered ability of a permanent you control triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. I think this is like a no-brainer for like blue-white token control. This is such a cool card. And big commander potential. Obviously big, not maybe, this is like outside of like Phantasmal Image, which is a creature, so it has like loops built in. This doesn't really have that. But like Mirror Room is one of the like cheapest rates for creating a token copy of a creature that we've seen in the past. So there's potential here, but all I know from all these rooms, like regardless of how good they are, is that Get Lost from Lost Caverns of Ixalan just gets better and better since it destroys target creature, enchantment, or planeswalker. So these rooms, pretty awesome. I'm excited to see what kind of potential is revealed from the rest of them, because I think they're going to do pretty much one in every color, I would imagine.
Hey, speaking of interesting enchantment things, we have an enchantment land.
Oh!
Lair. Does this, you know, index where you care about your enchantment count? Is this playable? I mean, it comes in tapped, which is a real bummer. But it provides color fixing and it has hexproof. It is
hexproof. You know, the one thing that I would say in the weakest part of enchantments at a competitive level, even in and mostly in cEDH, is just adding to that dockside count. Like, that's the unfortunate thing here, where
yeah, it seems like dockside has a lot of gravity in cEDH.
Yeah, it definitely it dictates whether or not a card is potentially competitive or potentially powerful.
Is that like oh man, it's like the dockside test.
Yeah, just stay tuned to next week.
Yeah,
where we're gonna unfurl on that a little bit, but like this is it does I think that is a test that cards do have to pass, especially if they're going to carry artifact or enchantment typings. Does it pass the test? And I think there are very few cards that can do that. Like there's a reason why we don't play the Simulacrum Synthesizer in cEDH. It's something that sits on the battlefield that it needs to be able to accrue value over time, and it generates more artifacts in the form of creatures that can't be sacrificed without alternative outlets. So what you're doing is you're just basically begging your opponents to dockside you for the game, which is why it's not playable. So, or it is very seldomly played. And that's kind of where I see like Valgavoth's Lair is an enchantment land that enters tap, so you don't get to use it right away.
Yeah, I mean, I guess more, definitely not cEDH, but like in limited or standard, especially because you have ethereal armor and then all this other enchantment stuff going on.
Yeah.
They're going to be an archetype that cares about this.
Oh, dude, I think so. Like I said, with
color
like
fixing, even though it comes in tapped.
Yeah, I was thinking like even with Calyx, like I was talking about earlier, he can create copies of enchantments that you control, non-legendary enchantments. Notably, this isn't legendary, so you can actually ramp with Calyx if you want to be like in those colors. It fixes, it does all those things that you love. It has hexproof, so no risk of like losing it outside of like mass land destruction, which doesn't currently exist in standard. So, I mean, there is, I think, where its potential is. This is one of those cards where I could see it sort of exploding in value out of nowhere, where right now we spec it as not being very good, but then once it starts to actually see play, it becomes a support structure for certain strategies, and then it becomes like a $10 land. Like that could totally be realistic and possible. So,
hey, speaking of possibly $10 lands, what about this rare cycle of dual lands?
You know, these have these do have potential. If you haven't seen these yet, I do have them up on YouTube. These are the rare cycle.
I'm talking about the rare cycle, by the way, not the common cycle.
Yeah, which both are pretty good.
Pretty decent, yeah.
Yeah. So
like that common cycle, you have all 10 duels, and in a 20 life game, you're gonna possibly get down to 13 or less life.
Yeah, and it says either player. If either player has 13 or less.
Oh, nice.
So
oh my god, yeah.
It's super.
Yeah, this might be. Oh man, there might be red deck wins just start splashing.
Yeah, there's Rakdos.
Yeah.
Like it's basically mono red right now in standard, but like they run one like Rakdos cards, Callous Sellsword, which is a fling on a creature. So basically there are being red and black lands being run in those, but now that you're basically guaranteed if you don't have your opponent to 13 or less by turn 2 in mono red, it's been a bad game. Like it just hasn't been a very good game for you. And so that like those lands have a lot of potential for what would be the late game for mono red decks, which is like turn 3 or turn 4. So like I see those having benefit there, where this, like, even the red green one right now, red green is an incredibly aggressive deck just because you have protection spells for 1 green that can target your Slick Shot Show Off and stuff like that. I've seen them be incredibly popular in Pioneer as well. So those common lands are actually kind of strong. They don't do anything for Commander, I don't feel like, but as far as
buddy, if Wizards prints a common land that's good for Commander, I will eat a Nyagagandu hat.
I'll hold you to that.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, you're listening to the MoxStars podcast. I don't think we've mentioned that in a couple minutes.
It's been a few minutes. Yeah, the #1 podcast on the internet for Magic the Gathering and Dr. Pepper.
All right, you want to talk about the rare dual cycle?
I do indeed. We have Hushwood
which
Verge.
May have implications for cEDH.
Yeah, these are all verges of sorts.
Yes.
They're
verge of playable.
On the verge of playability. There you go. This is these are a rare cycle of lands that say that you can tap them for 1 color, and then you can tap them for the other color, but you can only activate that mana ability if you control well, the other color, basically. So just to read it out loud, Hushwood Verge is a green and white land that says you can tap it for a green, and then you can tap it for a white only if you control a forest or a plains. So
Yeah, and it doesn't have typing on it itself, so it can't activate itself, obviously. But I like that it comes in untapped, and that secondary ability is just a bonus.
yeah, well, there's lands out there right now with Murders at Karlov Manor that exist that have typing that like on them, for one for standard play, and two for competitive commander play. This is, I mean, these aren't fetchable, which is a mark against them, but the lands that you do play in your decks oftentimes have one to, you're going to like meet the requirement most of the time. So
yeah, in any Eternal format, like these are just free upside, I feel like, right?
yeah, and while I think these might be close to replacing Pain lands, it's on the verge of maybe replacing those, because
Yeah, I think maybe that's a call on your particular deck, like whether or not you care about having the mana fixing at a certain point in the game versus like is pinging yourself for mana gonna add up, and like you need that life for as a different resource.
yeah, like this. There are certain ways that the Pain lands are good. Currently, there's bat decks in standard that want you to lose and gain life in the same turn, so the Pain lands are clutch. But these seem really good. Like outside of like for rare lands that come out, like that. Yes, we have fast lands and slow lands, like ones that say enter the battlefield if there's two or less, untapped if there's two or less, or enter battlefield tapped if it's two or more. Like there are those lands out there. Those require specific timing. These have early game and late game like benefits without any downside at all. They're going to come in untapped regardless. The only thing that is of concern is the typings of your lands, which is, I don't think you're going to see much land destruction in cEDH. Like you're not, like in competitive Magic. Like the only land destruction you're really going to see is something that takes out a Gaia's Cradle. And I just don't. There are like little nuanced situations where, like taking out someone's Bayou would keep them from having a forest in like regards to like Thornspire Verge, right? Where it says you need to control a mountain or forest in order to get green mana, and you blast their only green source, like which is a Bayou, and then turns this off. Like there is that potential, but I just don't think that there's going to be a player out there who values that type of removal over like targeting like a Gaia's Cradle or the potential of destroying. I don't know. There is no real like destroy target land. There's destroy target permanent, and I just don't know. Like they're likely going to remain on the battlefield once they're played in Commander. In Standard, I could see them getting demolition fielded or whatever. Like it's definitely like a real possibility that someone turns off your access to your other color by blasting your, surveil land. I could totally see that. So I think there's more risk in Standard than there is in Commander that this can get turned off. So once it's active in Commander, it's likely going to be active the whole game, regardless, and untapped. So
yeah, I just think these are all just good options to consider when you're building your mana base.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. You can definitely consider these as mid-tier. Like obviously the top tier shocks. Even you could say Surveil lands are now in just a little bit higher than mid-tier just because of the card advantage they generate.
Yeah, I feel like I forget what episode where I was just like, why are decks? Yeah, it was in
why do they want this?
Like, yeah. Why do they want this? This seems so like this does not seem like cEDH power level. And then, but then I'm just seeing them played, and I get it. Surveil is a good ability. Like out of all the tap lands, Surveil might be good enough to cross that threshold, which is another thing we've talked about in previous episodes. Like, what makes a tap land good enough to play?
Yeah, and I think
yes, it's Surveil 1.
And that's the minimum. That, like, for me, that's like, it has to be, you have to like key in on a certain strategy, like feeding the grave becomes beneficial. And I know it like also gets rid of cards off the top of your library, which is good. Like,
yeah, card filtering and filling the graveyard.
Yeah. Yeah, it's better than Scry. Just flat out, you know? So I guess that's the threshold, right? Whatever ability they give it, it has to just be a little bit better than Scry.
Yeah, can't be as good as straight up drawing a card, but it has to be better than Scry.
Right. Well, in Duskmourn, ley lines are back, and the blue ley line seems absolutely insane. It's ley line of transformation. And if you're unfamiliar with ley lines, if you have them in your opening hand, you can start the game with it on the battlefield, which is pretty rad. It's a really cool pregame action. But this one says, when it enters, choose a creature type, and then creatures you control, you own, that are in your hand or in your library or in your graveyard, all have that creature type. So my question is, in cEDH, is there a blue Maskwood Nexus deck that wants this? You know, and that's what I was thinking, because I was like, the only deck that currently plays Maskwood Nexus is Magda. Right? Is Magda, and the only reason that they play it is because they can tutor it. It's also one thing that I didn't mention in the Magda tech, which it's worth circling back to if you haven't watched that episode yet. This information is relevant. That Maskwood Nexus turns all of your creatures into treasures. Treasure is a typing, and it can be a creature typing. And so that's why your loops work, is because you go get Maskwood Nexus, and you turn all of your creatures into treasures that you can then sacrifice, send to the graveyard, and begin the loop with Elixir of Immortality or the bark thing from Bloomburrow. So if you didn't know that, go ahead and look at the Treasure Dog, for example. What is it? Goldhound from New Capenna. You can sacrifice Goldhound to Magda to activate its ability. So it is a typing. Magda doesn't care about it being like specifically an artifact or whatever. It just has to be a treasure. So that's a pretty rad ruling. Leyline of Transformation, though, I'm not really sure. Illusions, I guess, could be like a typing, but I don't know if there's a deck specifically that wants this. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. There is potential there. Somebody with a deeper pool of knowledge.
And it's as far as like ley lines go, it seems that they've designed and created the perfect ley line in black, which is just Ley Line of the Void. It's existed for a long time. Seeing another reprint here, back in standard. It's a good card, and I don't think they really need to do anything else to ley lines in black to have it be powerful or have it have effect on the game. Ley Line of the Void, if you're unfamiliar, if a card would be put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. It's one-sided as well. There's a new red one, though. Ley Line of Resonance. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets only a single creature you control, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. This could potentially see play in standard in mono red. Like, you mulligan, you put this on the battlefield, turn 1 Swift Spear, turn 2 put a Monstrous Rage on the Swift Spear, ×2. That's let's see, +3/+0 and trample +1, so +7 +2, 9, 10 damage on turn 2 if the stars align. So
okay, so this puts up the potential for a turn 3 standard deck.
Yeah, it potentially turn 3 standard deck. Pretty rad.
And you just did the quick math there. There's probably a way to, if you mulligan to this, have a turn 2 win maybe in Candyland. Yeah,
there's Heartfire Hero, which is one of the mouse creatures from Bloomburrow that people have been using as like sacrifice outlet. So turn 1, this comes down before you even take your turn. You play the Mousefire hero, or whatever, the Heartfire hero, and then turn 2, you hit it with a monster. Play your land, hit it with a Monstrous Rage, copy, and then it says whenever it becomes a target for the first time each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on it. You leave your 1 red mana open, and then so you hit for like 10, and then Callous Sellsword is a 1 mana fling at sorcery speed, so you fling it for 10, and then Heartfire Hero says whenever it dies, deal damage to target opponent equal to its power. So it all it has to be is 7 power or more on turn 2, and you can fling that thing like right in their face and win the game So there is a potential with Heartfire Hero for Leyline of Resonance to be part of a turn 2 kill that your opponent likely won't even play a card. Like they'll play a land, and then you will get your second turn if you went first before they even get a chance. So unless they have a cut down or something like right away, it's just game over. So, another banger for sure. We see the return, like I said earlier, the return of Nico, which is, shards. I don't think people gave shards enough credit. Maybe they weren't playable back when they were introducing Kaldheim. But shards are enchantments that say pay 2, sacrifice it, scry 1, then draw a card. So it's a clue. That's just an enchantment instead of an artifact that allows you to scry 1, then draw a card. So this seems like it has, it's a slightly more powerful version of that. It doesn't, I mean, the typing might be the reason why, but yeah, I think it's really good.
And the secondary, the ability on it is that, like, you can exile target non-legendary creature you control, and then shards you control become copies of it until beginning of the next end step.
Yeah.
So if you have a way to amass shards, and then there's probably some like Kiki-Jiki style antics you can do here, right?
Yeah, this seems like a flicker. Like you could flicker Nico, get more shards, because when it enters, you create the 2 shard
so
tokens.
you're in blue-white, so you can flicker, right?
And then the secondary effect is essentially a flicker, right? You exile it and then return it at the end step. So, like, maybe there's something else in the set that helps create shards or creates copies of tokens you control.
Or, well, what are the blue copy effects where you can create a non-legendary copy of a legendary creature you control?
Oh, sure.
Because then couldn't then your non-legendary Nico, if you had the mana, somehow like infinitely copy itself, right?
I guess, yeah. That would be a way.
Sort of line there, right?
Right. Yeah, to create infinite shards and then somehow turn all the shards into a copy of the creature for sure. Yeah.
By the way, we were joking last week, but the Jolly Balloon Man does have legit cEDH lines. Like, it's an alternate version of Kiki-Jiki, essentially.
Yeah, so if you missed it in the Discord, I did come through with the gold here on the Jolly Balloon Man. We were talking last week. Well, unfortunately, Flash, I have bad news. I cut out our 99 red balloon joke in editing because it was my fault. Like, it's my fault.
How dare you?
I know. Do you want to make the joke right now?
Nope.
It's gone. It's gone. The moment's gone. 99 red balloons was the goal. To 99. Anyway, to win through. Are you pissed? Are you mad?
It's all right. I quit.
Oh no! But the Jolly Balloon Man, we were wondering how, because we didn't have this insight. We didn't know this card existed. We just knew that there were going to be 1/1 red balloon creature tokens, like, from Morrow's spoiler. So this was one of the first cards spoiled, and so it comes up, and I immediately sent it to the Discord, and I said, yo, Flash, I think you're going to be able to make it work. So go ahead and read the card. Let us know what it does.
The Jolly Balloon Man?
Yeah.
1 red white, legendary creature, human clown, haste. It's a 1/4. 1, tap it, create a token that's a copy of target creature you control, except it's 1/1 red balloon creature in addition to its other colors and types, and it has flying and haste. Sack at the beginning of the next end step. activate only as a sorcery. So you can make 99 red balloons and end the game on the spot if you have a way to create, copies of this and the mana for it. So there's dockside loops for it. You can go the village bell ringer route. There's a couple different ways to do it, and it's like a 2-card combo.
Yeah, so you basically just got to have a way to untap it, which is kind of the secret with all of these like tap, create a top copy abilities. So you can even do this with Felidar Guardian.
Yeah, yep, yeah. There's tons. Again, it's just like a alternate way that you can do Kiki Jiki stuff.
Yeah, and it's a human.
And I think if you wanted to, you could put it in the command zone, and because it's giving you red and white, which are the colors you would need for these antics. So
the one deck,
there might be a solid fringe deck here.
Yeah, the one deck that I think this goes in that is sort of fallen off and fallen out of grace is Winota. I think this gives Winota some legs in main phase 2. Because
okay, yeah, I could see that.
Because like you rip this off the top, it comes down on the battlefield, you like rip this and a bell ringer. Because bell ringer's already in the deck. So like this becomes an additional outlet. You're running dockside, you're running bell ringer. The only thing that you're changing is that is mana echoes. So that was the other card that was part of the combo that I was thinking about, because otherwise you just need to be able to, you can only activate it as many times as mana you have available. But mana echoes,
well, you can go through Zerta the Dawnwalker and things like that, or
well, that won't reduce. Zerta says that you can't reduce it to less than 1, which is yeah,
bummer.
Yep. So like there are a few limitations here that keep you from going infinite, but the bell ringer mana echoes combo, like that works because it just straight up, like every time the bell ringer enters, it sees how many humans you control and then adds that much colorless mana. Boom. Right here. So you end up with infinite colorless mana, but the most important thing is you just have the amount of mana you need to continuously activate the Jolly Balloon Man. The best part is the bell ringer, it has haste from the Balloon Man's effect because the balloons have haste. Why not? It also has one of the most I don't want to say, it is definitely an artwork of all time.
It has one of the artworks of all time. Are you talking about the special treatment or the regular border?
The regular one.
Okay.
He's blowing air into the skin head of like a decapitated person, which is
Hey, strong vibes in this set.
It is definitely horror nightmare fueled artwork for sure. And the name is very fitting. This is definitely a cool card that has like, there are very few cards in the set right now that we've seen so far that have cEDH potential. This one is probably my top, has my top spot right now. It's like, yeah. This has
I have one that I know for sure is going to see a cEDH spot, but in only one deck, Kato Bane of Nightmares, which we don't have to talk about. It just goes in Yuriko. It's a ninja. Has ninja stuff.
I love that card. I think this is one of the strongest planeswalkers that we've seen in a long time, actually. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to. I don't know if I'm going to be able to place it. I can't find it. But yeah, go ahead and read it for the audience.
Oh, I'm not gonna. We don't have to. It just goes in Yuriko.
Yeah,
it's a ninja. It's a ninja lord. It's a planeswalker with ninjutsu. There's other relevant stuff, but it just put in Yuriko.
That's the big thing. Is that I guess what I want. It's like this is the first planeswalker we've ever seen that has this like alternative casting ability, like. So like having ninjutsu is big, and it's also a creature on the board when it enters. Power and toughness equal to the number of loyalty counters, I think, is something like that. But yeah, ninjutsu's in with 3 loyalty, if memory serves me properly.
4 loyalty, and it's a 3/4 ninja creature.
Yes, there you go. It's a beautiful card. There it is. Yeah, it's really great. And then not only that, it's +1 creates an emblem as well. So keep your eyes open on that one. I think it, like you said, plays really well in Yuriko and is going to be very, 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 very playable in constructed formats.
Yeah, I also kind of wonder because it has like the 0 loyalty abilities, Surveil 2, then draw a card for each opponent who lost life this turn. I mean, if you're gonna, is there a Dimir combat deck that is just gonna abuse the ninjutsu ability to refill its hand somehow? Like not in cEDH, I'm saying in standard.
Yeah, no, I absolutely believe so. Yeah, like discard, like there is currently Dimir discard control that is working its way through. So after you've, like it's the nightmare card from Wilds of Eldraine, the enchantment. It's 1 black enchantment. When it enters, each opponent discards a card and loses 2 life. So you can play that in your main phase 1, and then like ninjutsu this in, it comes in, and it gets you a new card. So like it almost works too well with that. But the big thing I see, like you said, with Yuriko, that 0 loyalty ability, look at that, we're talking about it. That is just like swing with Yuriko, ninjutsu this in, deal the combat damage, reveal 1 card. If it is of 1 mana or more, each opponent is going to lose life. And so this becomes a 0 mana Surveil 2, draw 3. Like, that's pretty nutty. We'll see. A lot of potential there with Kaido. The other thing that we want to talk about before we get out of here is the secret layers that are releasing alongside of Duskmourn. So we have here I believe it's 2 sets of secret layer. Let me see if I can get them.
Yeah, I've only seen 2 spoiled so far.
Yes, and there's going to be more alongside that, but we have, gosh dang it.
Buddy, if there's a chance for Wizards of the Coast to reprint crap and have you pay $50 for it, they'll do it.
Let's cover these real quick. The Duskmourn Showcase secret layer, like you said, the paranormal frames, these are actually pretty rad. This is the one I haven't seen, I don't think. I saw the Magus of the Moon, but there are a few other cards here as well. We have Phyrexian Metamorph, super playable cEDH card. Dauthi Voidwalker, super playable cEDH card. Magus of the Moon, super playable cEDH card. And then we have a combo line with Cauldron Familiar and Witch's Oven. So
yeah, I mean, all 5 of these cards you could potentially play. I don't know if the value is there aside from the special treatment on them. The inherent value probably not worth it. But if you play these cards and you like the treatment, it's at least thematically on point.
Right. Yeah. Like these are really cool. Like I think what they're doing more and more now is they're designing secret layers to be bundles that you can throw into a single deck, like, and or something of the like. That either all the cards are playable in a particular strategy, and that's why I really like. I like the inclusion of Cauldron Familiar and Witch's Oven together. That's a classic combo line from Standard and stuff like that. But this is, yeah, I think this is a really good set, or a really good secret layer. Maybe not worth the $30 or $40 that you're going to spend on it. But if you really like this Ghostbusters 80s horror,
has strong vibes.
Yeah,
if you like the vibes, go for it.
Yep, like the static television look. Like this is it for you. There's also the it's the Horrors from Across the Plains drop, which is like book covers for bad,
like weird and eerie and creepy and all those like 60s, 70s, 50s like
Goosebumps
monster magazines.
Yeah. So you got Ravenous Chupacabra, which is one of the most vile artworks I've ever seen. It's just, it looks like it does look like one of the doggy demons from Ghostbusters 2. So it has that going for it. We have Mazarek Crawl, Death Priest, another reprint of a card that we just has seen enough. It's seen enough reprints. And then we have Uriel, the Miststalker. So Naya gonna do here. This is a card that is in desperate need of a reprint, but this is a legendary Naya Voltron commander from way, way back that still really, really strong. But Uriel the Miststalker gets +2/+2 for each aura attached to it, and then it also has hexproof. So hard to get rid of, super strong. You know, like you're likely going to be able to one-shot somebody with this thing. I think that's a great reprint there. We have a mistake here. We have Coma, Cosmos Serpent. And Flash, have you spotted the mistake on this one yet?
No.
So this is...
I know there is one, but I don't know what the card is.
Yeah, so indirectly they've nerfed Coma. And this is the thing with Secret Lairs, that they have just put their... I just don't know why they've put their like foot down on this, but it's like when they make a mistake in printing with Secret Lairs, they just say, ship it. Doesn't matter. But Coma Cosmos Serpent notably says, at the beginning of each upkeep, create a 3/3 blue serpent creature token. The Secret Lair version right now says, at the beginning of your upkeep, create a 3/3 blue serpent creature token. So where normally you would get 4 serpents on any given turn cycle in Commander, you only get 1 if you play this version. Since it only triggers on your upkeep and not every upkeep. This is like one of the worst, you know, it's like Circular Logic from one of the sets was printed as a sorcery, even though it's a counterspell. And like it absolutely needs to be an instant. That's the worst one. This is close. This is close. This is a huge misprint for it. It just doesn't do the same thing. So I don't know. Whatever. If you buy this one, you're going to have a funny, maybe sad story to tell. The next one is Doom Whisperer. This is a great card. I think it's a really great commander card and a good artwork here. But Doom Whisperer has pay 2 life. Surveil 2 as a 6/6 flying trample demon. So, cool stuff here. The other thing I was going to show that wasn't fully revealed was they have movie poster ones. Have you seen those? There's the Archon of Cruelty.
Yeah, where do those appear in? Do those appear in like the gift boxes or the collector's packs or...
That's a good question. I was fairly certain they were going to be Secret Lairs, but I might just be wrong.
I think they are like one of the special treatments in one of the types of products that they sell surrounding every set.
Yeah,
my understanding.
Yeah, more products is what we need. But regardless of where they come from, we have Archon of Cruelty as another promo. Goryo's Vengeance.
Oh, it's in the Nightmare bundle.
Oh, okay. These are way cooler, by the way, than the other Secret Lairs. But the Goryo's Vengeance is a super underrated card. I love this thing. And then Living Death, which I think is probably the coolest of the 3 as far as artworks go. I really like that, ghost goggles with a ghost ray gun type of the artwork there. I like that a lot. Anyway, I'm pretty tapped out on Duskmourn, and I think it's about time we got the heck out of here.
Well, unfortunately, because you're tapped out, I'm going to cast Split Up and choose to destroy all tap creatures.
Are you saying we should split up right now?
This was the MoxStars podcast. 100 episodes, and now ashes in the wind.
And the next 100 episodes soon to come. Thank you so much for sticking around and listening and supporting the show. If you made it this far and you aren't subscribed quite yet, what are you doing? Hit that thumbs up. Subscribe.
Do it. You should do it. You should subscribe. Hey, we got a Patreon. We got a giveaway. check it out.
Yeah, stay tuned
Sorry,
for.
petered out there. I thought I was about to say something.
It was going to be epic. Whatever it was, whatever thought you had, I knew it was going to be spectacular. I'm sorry you lost it. But we'll have more details on the 2-liter tier coming up. And then be sure to, dude, this is how tapped out I am. I'm brain farting like crazy right now. We have tokens. We have tokens. Willie sent us peeps.
We have hats. We're going to have hats.
They are, once
now,
they are
here's
made,
the question. We didn't
Ravenlift
discuss
gets
this.
the first one, no matter
Cherry
what.
Pepper Vanilla Head tier.
Yes.
Is the hat exclusive, or is are we also selling these hats?
For a minute, like honestly, for a little while, it's going to be exclusive to that tier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like for at least for the first 12 months until the bucket hat is made. So I might open up that tier.
There will only be one bucket hat, though. It's going to be like the One Ring. One bucket hat to rule them all.
It'll be the first one produced. That's for sure. And, we might open up that tier if we get enough feedback from that. So stay tuned there as well. If you like the hat enough, I'm trying to get some really the production value on this has to meet MoxStars level of, has to pass a certain threshold. So we will absolutely keep you guys all posted on that. Make sure to subscribe to us if you are listening to us on any major podcasting platform. Leave us a 5-star review. Make us look super cool. And you can also join the Discord server. Join the discussion there where, well, if you're a Pepperhead, you got a sneak peek into some of the designs I was working up for the hat, and potentially inadvertently created a new playmat. So that's where, you can get a little more insight into what we're working on and talk to your fellow Pepperheads about strategy. We've been talking a lot about limited and draft lately, which I think Duskmourn is going to be a great 3-color set, if not more, 3 colors or more. And then, that's about all I got.
Cool. Can I get a quick plug in there?
This is
that cool?
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to give a shout out to the New England Journal of Medicine. Just like a lot of really great articles.
And most notably, the one about Dr. Pepper that says it activates a larger percentage of your brain when you drink it through a straw.
Yeah. That's where I got the statistic that 2 Dr. Peppers equals 1 limitless pill. So just a shout out to the New England Journal of Medicine. Just really great stuff.
Oh, and before we get out of here, I think it's, I want to thank everybody for, obviously sticking with us through the journey, supporting us the entire way. We're almost at 2 full years of podcasting, which every week we haven't missed. It's kind of like crazy to think that we've been so consistent, and we don't have any intention of slowing down. But we started this journey with 3, and at some point, like Jordan lost interest in the game. That product cycle was getting too fast, and he's taking a break from the show, and we just want to thank him personally for just helping us get off the ground and being a part of the
thanks,
show.
J-Dog.
Yeah,
shout out to Jordan.
For sure. Thank you.
Long lost third MoxStar, always a MoxStar, even if he's not on the podcast anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. Once a MoxStar, always a MoxStar. Someone called us rock stars.
I mean, once you get the pepper in your blood, you're a Pepperhead for life.
Well, once here's the thing. Limitless ended with him having on constant limitless powers. He wasn't taking them, excessively anymore. He just had a constant stream in his life until he felt the effects all day, every day. So that's kind of the deal with being a MoxStar is once you are and it's in your bloodstream, it just sort of persists. There's no tapering off. It's just a steady stream of awesomeness rolling through your veins.
Yeah,
all right.
Just become a Pepperhead. Unlock the full potential of your brain. That's what we're trying to say.
That's the new tagline.
Here on the MoxStars podcast, which is exclusively about Magic the Gathering.
Indeed. All right. We're out of here. Peace.
Bye.